We're live.
Hello, everybody. It's your vinyl junkie here, Royce. Thank you for joining us at Royce in the House and our vinyl album unboxing playlist. I have my esteemed co-host here, wealth of knowledge, one of the most knowledgeable music people I know, and that's Scott Harris. Scott knows a lot. I'm always impressed when I bring him on. We're going to have a fun show tonight. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a little bit different. And what I want to ask everybody is, everybody ready? Okay, I want to mention before we get going that I had an occasion, a friend of mine, Bill Kreiner, I think is his name. You know, he's from the other shows. Great guy. You know, we have motorcycles in common and things like that, and we chatted up. Anyway, Bill told me there was a show I should watch. He thought it was great, and so I finally had an opportunity to pop in there today. And it was really fun. They invited me on, but I had to get going. I didn't want to do that. They did a Beatles show, kind of a Beatle. I don't know if they technically do unboxing because they had passed that point, you know, by the time I came on. But her name and the name of her show is Rachel's, RACHEL''S, Rachel's Music Ma'am, M-A-M, not Music Man, but Ma'am. And it's a fun show that she had, like, I think 6 co-hosts at the time, and was, you know, she invited me on, like I said. And it's just a really nice, friendly, and fun group. I would highly recommend everybody check them out. I just had to give them a shout out. And they were all saying to me, "Hey, Royce, don't worry about a thing. We're going to be talking you up." And, you know, I mean, I just met them all for the first time. But anyway, tonight we're going to start something a little bit different. And what I want to do first is basically just kind of set this whole thing up with a little conversation. I was in the store the other day and I came across the latest edition of Rolling Stone magazine. And what caught my eye is the 100 greatest guitarists of all time, plus remembering Eddie Van Halen. But it was the 100 greatest artists of all time that really caught my eye, because this is just what I've been looking for. And so what I want to do is, we're not going to talk about the 100 greatest artists tonight. We'll be here this time tomorrow night, still on the show. So I wanted to break it down to the top 10. And hopefully there's a couple of people I don't have any albums of, like, say, B.B. King and Dwayne Allman. I don't have music of either one of those guys. So I extended it to number 11 on the list. And maybe on future shows, we'll bring in the next 10 and the next 10. And I don't mean, you know, that's the focus of the show, but we'll do a show, and then somewhere in the show, we'll talk about the next 10. It'll actually get faster, I'm sure, as we go. But the first 10 are pretty significant, and I don't expect everybody to agree with me. I wouldn't want everybody or to agree with the panel that made these decisions, nor would I want everybody to agree with the panel. But what I want to do first is tell you a little bit about who the voters were. But I'm not going to read through the whole list because it's a big list. They got a whole bunch of musicians together, and they assembled. Okay, I'll just read this. We assembled a panel of top guitarists and other experts to rank their favorites and explain what separates the legends from everybody else. And some of the people on the list, I'll just skip through here and throw some of the notables out. You know, Richie Blackmore from Deep Purple, Brian Bell from Weezer, Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains was one of the voters. I have a lot of faith in him. Let's see. Then we had Rick Derringer. Melissa Etheridge was a voter. Kurt Hammett, Metallica, was a voter. So I mean, there's some pretty prestigious. Joe Walsh was a voter. Derek Trucks. Let's see. Stephen Stills. Oh, he goes back to, you know, he goes way back. You know, I mean, I love Stephen Stills. I used to buy his solo stuff back before Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. He's great. Stephen Stills is awesome. Let's see. Anybody else here that everybody would probably recognize right away? Brian May. Brian May from Queen is here. He was a voter. Mick Mars from Motley Crue. Niles Lofgren. So I mean, this Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz was a voter. on the top 100. So that's pretty impressive, I think. Not only did they vote on the top 100 greatest guitarists of all time, but they also assembled a playlist, the greatest song from each one of them. And so that's amazing. I mean, this is like just a shot of the playlist, you know, individual artists, a little write up and talking about their best songs. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go all the way back, and we're going to start with who they voted number one. And who they voted number one, and anybody that knows me knows he's my all-time favorite. For me, it's always been as far as favorites, and I've had a lot of favorites, and I love a lot of musicians and a lot of their music. But Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin have always been 1 and 2. And sometimes they might trade places, but I usually come back to Hendrix only had 3 studio albums, you know. And the interesting thing about Hendrix, first of all, voted number 1, Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was voted by that esteemed panel as the number 1 greatest guitarist of all time. And I'll just let me before I go into my own little thing, I'm going to read something here. Now, this write-up was done by Pete Townsend from The Who. And Pete says, I feel sad for people who have to judge Jimi Hendrix on the basis of recordings and films alone. And I couldn't agree with that more, because when Jimi Hendrix turned his first album in to the label, they said, no, this isn't going to work. He goes, well, what do you mean? They said, well, no one's ever going to buy a song that's longer than 3 minutes. So he had to, you know, Jimmy's famous for his long extended improv, you know, where he just goes crazy and goes into a whole nother zone on the guitar. He had to go cut all that out and kind of can it for, you know, for the label to sell. So anyway, he goes on to say, on the basis of recordings and films alone, because in the flesh, he was extraordinary. He had a kind of alchemist ability. When he was on the stage, he changed. He physically changed. He became incredibly graceful and beautiful. It wasn't just people taking LSD. That was going on, there's no question. But he had a power that almost sobered you up if you were on an acid trip. He was bigger than LSD. This is Pete Townsend from The Who. So Jimi Hendrix, number 1 on the list of top 100 guitarists. Now, I would like to hear from everybody. I'd like to hear from you, Scott, but I'd like to hear from the chat as well. I want to know what your opinion is. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at your, like, the first top 10 and 11 guitarists that are in here. I definitely agree with the number 1 is Jimi Hendrix. Just because he was just completely on another level altogether.
Another level. I agree.
You know, he's definitely on more on the Miles Davis sort of mentality of like a jazz sort of head, and kind of surpassed everyone. He took the blues. He played with, you know, all these kind of famous people in the 60s and kind of, you know, did his own thing and kind of moved it out into this other realm of sound. In a jazz way, in a way. I mean, like the Hendrix experience, definitely, you know, you have Mitch Mitchell and Jimi Hendrix playing off of each other. There's a lot of interplay there, which really made it special, I believe. They hooked him up with the right guys, you know. I mean,
they hooked him up with the right guys. I mean, they get overshadowed by him, but you sit there and listen to the drummer playing and the bass player playing. They're really in your face, and they're great.
Absolutely.
I don't know that the drummer is not comparable to John Bonham.
I mean, I think I always compare Jimi Hendrix and Mitch Mitchell to John Coltrane and Elvin Jones.
No Redding, yeah.
No, the drumming.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mitch Mitchell and Jimi Hendrix, their interplay, kind of similar to what John Coltrane and Elvin Jones had going on. Yeah. This other level stuff or whatever. Other level stuff. I mean, like Miles Davis says, what's your favorite Jimi Hendrix song? And he says Machine Gun, which is, you know, Band of Gypsies, which is completely another thing than the experience. But definitely, you know, as far as a guitarist is concerned, he brought it to another level. Sonically, nobody was doing what he was doing with feedback. He was completely innovative. Some people are saying
completely.
Yeah.
Some people don't understand his roots went deep into R&B, you know.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
he played with Little Richard. He played with the
Yep.
Isley Brothers, lived with
Yep.
one of the Isley Brothers for a couple of
Right.
years, taught his son Ernie how to play. And I listened to Ernie play at a tribute to Hendrix. He was fantastic. He sounded like Hendrix. And, you know, he played with, he played with Junior Walker and the All-Stars, one of my favorite little music videos that circulates. You can do a search for it on YouTube. Junior Walker and the All-Stars with Jimi Hendrix. I fall out of my chair laughing. I love that video. He played with. He got fired by Ike Turner of Ike and Turner fame, and there's a video going around about Ike Turner firing him, where the guy's interviewing Ike Turner, and he says, "You fired Jimi Hendrix?" And Ike goes, "Well, you know, he had all them pedals. He had the fuzz pedal and the wah-wah pedal and this pedal, and he spent more time with the pedals than he spent playing. I just didn't like that stuff, so I fired him. And when I started hearing later about Jimi Hendrix, some kind of rock god, I didn't even know it was the same Jimi Hendrix."
Right.
That's a funny video to watch too. I love that one, man. Ike Turner.
Yeah.
Well, hey, in the chat, Maria, Caitlin, Jeff, what do you guys think? Do you guys think would you rank Hendrix as number one? I mean, I rank him as number one. I just curious if you guys in the chat, Jeff, would you rank him as number? Caitlin, that's cool. Jeff, what was he like? Okay, Jeff met Little Richard. Yeah, that is cool. Hey, Royce, man, Adam D. Hi, Adam. Hey, Adam, do you agree that Jimi Hendrix should be ranked as the number one greatest guitarist of all time? I want to try to get the chat a little involved here.
So
and see what people think
I'll just let you know though, not that we're there yet, but I came up with my favorite 10 guitarists, and I have that list. But I have
let's don't go there yet.
I just want to say I have a lot of qualms with what's going on here with their list. I really feel like some of it is just kind of doesn't make any sense at all, but that's just me.
I know. And who how are you going to get everybody to agree on that?
Well, there's certain things that are in this list that are weird. And I can just I can rattle that off when you're ready.
Okay, no. Let's get further into the show first.
Yep.
Then we can certainly come back to it.
Yep.
I'd like to hear from somebody in the chat. Hendrix number one. Who agrees? That was me. Jeff said, "Well, my number one is Eddie Van Halen." Okay. Right. Eddie Van Halen's up on the list. Not only is he up on the list, but this particular issue that of the greatest 100 guitarists is also get the right finger over it, remembrance of Eddie Van Halen. Half the magazine is about Eddie Van Halen. So yeah, Eddie Van Halen was fantastic. Total innovator. Like Hendrix. He was an innovator like Hendrix and like Jimmy Page and, well, a number of others. Okay, so before we go any further, let me think about that. Royce laughing out loud. Okay, Caitlin. That's great. Okay, so Hendrix, I have to show a little Hendrix vinyl. I don't want to get into, there's 10 people we're going to be looking at. So this is my original Hendrix experience. I've had this since the 60s, since it came out. One of his only 3 studio albums, believe it or not. Okay, and then because that's getting a little tired, but still plays okay, I bought a new one. Walmart. It was believe it or not, $13.87 at Walmart for the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Released by the Hendrix family, the Hendrix Family Edition. Okay, so that's really cool. But my most recent Hendrix acquisition, I'm going through Facebook and I see the Jimi Hendrix Experience Purple Haze 51st anniversary. And this is a 45. And I thought, you know what? It's a 45. Yeah, I don't have any 45s. They've long since all disappeared. Most of them are my parents. But what's unique about this one, of course, it's on the normal record label, Reprise, but it's purple vinyl. Purple haze and purple translucent. Everybody uses transparent. That's like a window, a clear window. Translucent is a little shaded. But anyway, purple translucent vinyl, Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze. I saw that. I could not pass on it.
Nice.
I mean, I didn't get to eat for 2 days, but I couldn't pass on it, you know. And the other recent acquisition was I got lucky and I found a 2000 edition of the 8-album box set of Jimi Hendrix. There's 8 albums in here, you know, and this was released in 2000. They're re-releasing them now. You can get them $159, stuff like that. I paid less than that for this one, and this is 21 years old. And it's the only one ever made with a velvet cover. I haven't taken the shrink wrap off yet, but this you can feel it. It's an embossed velvet cover, and it's just I haven't, and I may buy a new version just to play it, because I can't bring myself to open this original. You know, this 21 years old that was a limited edition when they made it, and it's got all the tracks on the back. You know, a lot of tracks of stuff that you never. I mean, there may be 4 or 5 Purple Hazes here, but they're all different. You know, so that was kind of unique, and I love that. Prior to that, sometime back, and this is the last Hendrix I'm going to show. I'm not going to pull them all out and stuff like that, but this is Hendrix live in Maui, and this was great awesome. Because Hendrix was at the top of his game, and when he did 2 live shows in Maui, and there were like 200 people there. You know, they went out in the sticks and set up stages and brought in generators, and it came with a Blu-ray DVD where you can watch both concerts. A nice booklet, real heavy sleeves with nice pictures on them. This is great too. So anyway, that's all I'm going to open for Hendrix. I don't know if you had anything, Scott, you wanted to show.
I didn't pull anything. But I do have a bunch of Hendrix vinyl. I have original presses of Are You Experienced? I have Axis, and also Electric Ladyland. Yeah. Also Band of Gypsies, the original press from back in the day. And I have represses of those records on vinyl. Right. But my favorite Hendrix album, really, it's just a collaboration, like a compilation thing, which is the blues record.
I have that.
Yeah, I love it.
I have that. I think I just bought the vinyl, but I've had the CD since it came out.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. Yeah,
there's some really unusual songs on it, but there's some really great songs. I like it all, actually. You know?
It's a lot of jamming on that record.
Like one that goes, "I wish I was a catfish" or something like that, and there's some cool stuff on it. I think Red House might even be on it, right?
It is on there. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I haven't listened to it in a while. I think I just received in the mail the album. I'm pretty sure I have the album now too. Yeah. But anyway, it's a great album. And you know what? I have to confess something. For most of my life, you're so used to hearing the studio versions when you listen to the radio or you buy an album that, you know, they seem to usurp the live stuff. But when it comes to someone like a Hendrix, I mean, you know, when it's the improv that's fantastic. Even Eric Clapton once said, he goes, "I can't believe people try to learn my solo on Crossroads word for note for note." He goes, "I never play it the same way twice." And I don't know how many different versions of Stairway to Heaven I've heard Jimmy Page play, and he never plays it the same way twice. You know,
right?
I mean, and that's what great artists do, and that's what becomes really cool as time goes on about the live albums. You get to hear all the improv or changes that are different from what you're used to. And that's a lot of fun. I think that's a lot of fun. Okay, so we're going to move to number 2.
Yep.
And number 2, and I have a feeling Scott's not going to agree with this one, because as much as I like Eric Clapton, I don't think I could have ranked him number 2.
No.
And
I don't rank him. No, I don't rank him number 2 either. He's great, obviously.
He is great.
You know, I love Cream. And some people say, you know, Cream and what's it called? Derek and the Dominoes are great.
I've been looking for Derek and the Dominoes featuring. I only found it live once, and it didn't have Layla and the songs I was looking for on
the live Madison Square Garden one, the MSG
one. One of the live ones. There may be more than one live one, but the live one I found at 2 different places used doesn't have the songs that I was hoping to have on it, like
Right.
Bell Bottom Blues and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And the song Layla is not on them,
Yeah. Right.
The live with the Blues Breakers,
Yeah.
So
Maybe
that was
because
a real disappointment. I saw it recently, but I spent so much money on vinyl prior to. I just thought I'm just gonna have to pass and put that off, But anyway, so Eric Clapton, and let me tell you who wrote the notes on Eric Clapton here. Eric Clapton by Eddie Van Halen. Hey Jeff, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Okay, Eddie Van Halen, Floyd Moses. Okay, hold on one second. I'm going to have to see if I can send an invitation out to Floyd Moses. Okay, so Floyd Moses can pop in here. That's Floyd Moses is a guitar player, a hell of a guitar player. Okay, that's not coming up. I'm going to have to do his regular name. Let's see. Okay, here we go. All right, I have sent him on Messenger a link to come on. Okay. All right, so we'll see if it works out. A bunch of different names there. But anyway, Eric Clapton, let's face it, I mean, in the mid 60s, maybe I was in, 8th grade or something. I was hearing it was being painted on walls in England. Clapton is God. I mean, he's been a guitar hero for an awful long time. A very famous guitar player. Blues based. I mean, he did get away from the blues at times to try to be a little more commercially successful because not everybody was into the blues, although it was a big part of the British invasion. So Eric Clapton did get away from it, but some of the songs he did, he had kind of, some of them had a reggae beat, like I Shot the Sheriff, or the girls all love the song You Look Wonderful Tonight. That's just a fantastic song. So those things weren't real bluesy, if not even bluesy at all, actually. So he mixed it up a little bit. So, but Eric Clapton, let's just see what Eddie Van Halen had to say about Eric Clapton. Okay.
He liked Up Till Cream, and that was it.
Well, okay. Well, Eric Clapton is basically the only guitar player who influenced me. Even though I don't like him, even though I don't sound like him, I'm sorry. There was a basic simplicity to his playing, his style, his vibe, and his sound. He took a Gibson guitar, plugged it into a Marshall, and that was it. The basics, the blues. His solos were melodic and memorable. And that's true. I agree with that. And that's what guitar solos should be. Even though Eddie was not known for being melodic, but that's okay. That's what guitar solos should be. I could hum them to you. He made me pick up a guitar. I would literally slow down these records and learn every lick. And bottom line, it's all blues based. You've got 3 chords that are most pleasing to the ear, and you've got 12 notes to work with. What I really liked was Cream's live recordings, because you could hear the 3 guys playing. If you listen to I'm So Glad on Goodbye, and I have that album, you really hear the 3 guys go. Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker, loved them both. What a great voice. And Ginger Baker at the time was celebrated as the greatest drummer alive at the time, Okay, so after Cream, he changed. When he started doing I Shot the Sheriff, song I just mentioned, and with Delaney and Bonnie, hooked up with Delaney and Bonnie, or at least his sound, he focused more on singing than playing. I respected him for everything he's done and is still doing, but what inspired me, what made me pick up a guitar, was his early stuff. Just like you said, Scott, his early stuff. Yep. But so anyway, so that's Eddie Van Halen, who wrote I don't know if you want to call them liner notes or what, for Eric Clapton, who is ranked number 2. What does the chat think? Does the chat think that Eric Clapton deserves to be the number 2 ranked greatest guitar player of all time by this esteemed panel? And I mean, a lot of great musicians Disraeli Gears was a great old album. Yes, it was. I have my original Disraeli's Gears and an upgraded one because mine was a little on the thrash side. Let's see, Adam D. I prefer Clapton's blues over anything else he did. I agree with that. I agree, and I think that's what Eddie was saying, and I think it's what Scott's saying as well. Okay, so that's great, and let's see. I'm sure it's just okay. All right, so yeah, Clapton's blues, and that's what Clapton was known for, was the blues, you know. And he played with a lot of blues artists. I've got a picture of him. I think it's an album cover where he's got B.B. King in the back, and they're in a convertible, and Eric Clapton's up front driving with B.B. King in the back, you know. And I'm sure he collaborated with so many different people. So anyway, so anybody else have anything to say about Eric Clapton? I'll show a couple of his albums. Gloria. Hi, Mr. Royce. Hi, Gloria. Hitting the keys a little hard. Hi, Gloria. Oh, God, misspelling and everything. Sorry about that. Hi, Gloria. How are you? Okay. Well, you guys think about Eric Clapton and whether you think he deserves to be number 2. I'm going to send one more link out real quick. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay. Okay, had to do that. Okay, so let's see. What do we have in the chat here? Oh, Laurel's there. Hey, Laurel. Yeah, Laurel, if you just joined us, we're actually trying to find out if everybody agrees, or who agrees and who disagrees with Eric Clapton being chosen by this esteemed panel of musicians as the number 2 greatest guitar player of all time. Okay, so I'll show a couple of albums. I've got, let's see, Disraeli Gears was mentioned, and that this is like so many of the albums that I love. I could put this in my CD player because, of course, it was CDs for a long time, but this predates the CDs. But I can put Disraeli Gears or any of these Cream albums in my CD player, and to be honest with you, it might stay in there for 2 months. You know, that doesn't mean I listen to it every minute I'm in there, but I listen to it a lot, and it never gets old. It just never gets old. And there are certain songs I might put on a repeat, and I do the same thing with Hendrix. I do the same thing with you know, Led Zeppelin and many of the others. So Disraeli Gears was a fantastic album. Bruce Rodgers, Ginger Baker, and Eric Clapton. And I love this album. I've had this album. I have 2 copies of it. This may be the little nicer one. Mine was the cover's a little more beat up and stuff, but it still plays. And then for my 16th birthday, because we were both fans, my older brother Robin Hood, who was 9 years older than me, Eric Clapton had left that band, and he'd already started recording with this band before he even left that band, and that was Blind Faith.
Yep, Blind Faith is great.
This is my original Blind Faith that my older brother Robin bought me when I was 16 years old, and it's like brand new, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I have the band cover.
It's in perfect condition. And Blind Faith, Disraeli Gears. I've got the Cream Goodbye and another Cream album. I didn't want to pull them all out. I'm going to wait until we get a little further along because I've got a couple of albums here that basically represent 3 of the people. You know, one band representing 3 of the people. So anyway, we'll move on. All right. So Eric Clapton, we don't all agree. Love Eric Clapton. Like I said, mid-60s, they were painting Clapton as God on the sides of masonry buildings and stuff because he was so highly respected as a guitarist. Okay, so number 3, I agree at least at number 3. Okay, I know Scott's probably already seen this, but and none other than Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin. I can never listen to enough of Jimmy Page's guitar playing. And like I was saying earlier, you know, I mean, to tell you how crazy I am about some of these people, I mean, I just got my third Hendrix piece of artwork. Okay. From my dear friend Linda Foster. It came from England. It's a pencil drawing, and I've never seen so much detail. This
That's
guy
amazing.
is really, really amazing. And I've got another Hendrix up here from my favorite, George Kalkoff. And I have another Hendrix from Joe Dog, who's a fantastic musician. I've seen in concert a few times. And Joe Dog, the first time I saw him in concert, he had all his artwork spread out on a table. And I said, you know what? I need a Jimmy Page. And there was Jimmy Page playing the double neck. I have that hanging in my entryway. And I sent him an email or a text, and I said, hey, listen, Joe, I have to have another Hendrix. So he sent me 3 or 4 that he already had made. I said, no, I'll send you some pictures. I found pictures of Hendrix at Woodstock with the white leather jacket with the fringe hanging down, playing, his white Stratocaster. I said, it's got to be Hendrix at Woodstock. And I have that hanging in my entryway. So I have 3 pieces of art of Hendrix. Bob Marley, thanks to George. One of the Hendrixes, George, is really cool. Jimmy Page playing the double neck. And I'm waiting. I haven't quite figured out where I want to put my newest one. I want to buy another frame just like it. And maybe I'll get Robert Plant and put them together, So anyway, so here we go. Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page is rated. Now, I will say I would probably move Jimmy Page to 2. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I have my favorite 10 guitarists. I'm not going to say the best because what's your favorite? Your favorite, but Jimmy Page is at number 3 for me. But I think he should be moved. Eric Clapton's not in my top 10, so I would move Jimmy Page up absolutely in this list.
Okay. Well, Jeff Davidson said I would put Page over Clapton. Jeff, I said the same thing the moment I saw it. I would also put Page over Clapton. No disrespect to Clapton, but I just think Page was so much more innovative, whereas Clapton really basically copied all the blues players.
He did.
There's nothing wrong with that. So many people did that. Stevie Ray Vaughn, and to some degree, they all did that.
I think that Jimmy Page to me was more innovative, and he also, he played on a lot of 60s recordings. He was a big, huge session guy. Didn't he play on what's it called? Get High, Open Beck's or whatever. Yeah. He played on a lot of stuff.
He played on a lot of stuff. He was a session player. They tapped him when they needed a great guitar player that their own guitar, that could, produce sound that their own guitar players couldn't. So I've got a couple of things in the chat here I want to mention, and that is Adam D said James Hetfield, Metallica. Caitlin said Page is high on my list. He's certainly high on mine. I put him and Hendrix 1 and 2. And Jeff Davidson, I would put Page over Clapton. Adam D said Jerry Cantrell also. Alex Lifeson, Adam D once again. If I have to choose,
don't get me started on Alex Lifeson. They put him at number 98, which is ridiculous.
Then Maria Day says, I saw Page and Plant when they toured together. Oh man, I never got to see them live, and that just kills me. I hope they reunite, grab a drummer, whether it's Bonham's son, Jason Bonham, or whoever, and just do one last tour. I don't care where I have to go or what I have to sell to go see them. I'll do it. Caitlin, me too. She's talking about Laurel Rossman saying she's jealous because Maria Day saw Page and Plant together, and Caitlin saying she's jealous too. Adam D, y'all should check out Jared James Nichols, best new talent out there right now. Have you heard him, Scott?
No.
Okay, and Jeff Davidson saw Page Plant as well. I'm jealous. I want you girls to know I'm jealous. I don't know how I missed so many of the people I love so much, but I did. I'm really bummed about it. Let's see. Okay, so Jimmy Page's write-up is from Joe Perry, the guitar player for Aerosmith. Great guitar player. And listening to what Jimmy Page does on guitar can transport you. I couldn't agree more. As a lead player, he always plays the right thing for the right spot. He's got such remarkable taste. The solo on Heartbreaker has such incredible immediacy. He's teetering on the edge of his technique and is still a showstopper. This is great stuff. He really wrote something nice here, but you can't look at just his guitar playing on its own. You have to look at what he did with it in the studio and how he used it in the songs he wrote and produced. Jimmy built this incredible catalog of experience playing with the Yardbirds and doing session work. And we'll talk a little bit about the Yardbirds soon. Okay, so Jimmy showed that being heavy wasn't about playing loud. He had this vision of how to transcend the stereotype of what the guitar can do. If you follow the guitar on, the song remains the same all the way through. It's brilliant in its complexity. I like that. I like stuff like that. The song remains the same all the way through. It's brilliant in its complexity. It evolves through so many different changes, louder, quieter, softer, louder again. He was writing the songs, playing them, producing them. I can't think of any other guitar player since Les Paul that can claim that. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a great write-up, you know. Okay, any comments on the, well, actually, we've been talking about Jimmy Page here. I love Kenny Wayne Shepherd. Yeah, Maria Day, I saw Kenny Wayne Shepherd in concert. And believe it or not, the concert was called A Tribute to Jimi Hendrix. Floyd Moses just joined us. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm getting coffee. I'll be right there.
All right. Okay, so yeah, Maria, I saw two different shows, A Tribute to Hendrix, and it was just fantastic. Kenny Wayne Shepherd, all of the premier guitar players of our time were there paying tribute to Jimi Hendrix. I saw it at the Arlington Theater in Santa Barbara. Then later on, looks like my brother's going to play some Hendrix. Go for it, bro.
Oh no! Well, let me get tuned up. Can I put you through tuning?
Huh?
Go ahead and talk. It won't take me a second.
Okay. Do you know what show we're doing here? We're doing the top 100.
Listen to a little bit of Hendrix and Van Halen and Eric Clapton. I guess you're doing guitar players.
Yeah, top 100, but we're only going to do the top 10.
Okay. Well, I think I'm holding at about 6 right now.
Everybody that doesn't know, this is my younger brother Richie, 3 years younger than me. He was an excellent guitar. Is an excellent guitar. He played all over Las Vegas. He was invited to join Wayne Newton's band as a guitar player. Forrest Duke, who wrote up all the big acts in Las Vegas, for writing my brother and his wife up, the Eddings duo, as a must-see show. And we were all very proud of him.
That was when I was young and skinny, though.
You must have weighed about 130 pounds up there.
I never weighed 130 pounds. I was born and I weighed 130 pounds. I think I was about 145, 50 though. Now I'm about 155.
No, that's not bad at all. I don't even want to talk
about it. No, I'm just kidding, man. No, that's just my face. All right,
Adam D, you taking off? Thanks for showing up, buddy. We really appreciate it. So you're gonna play a couple of notes real quick?
Well, yeah, but I was telling you when you sent the message, I went to bed at 4:30. That's what the old guys do, you know. But anyway, and my wife said your brother sent you a link, and so it took me a while to figure out what that meant. And and then I made some coffee. You know me, computers, right?
Right.
Okay. Remember that one? Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's all I know of that one, though. Except for
okay.
Remember?
Oh yeah. I'm still failing trying to play it.
Never.
Okay. Okay. While you think about it and figure it out, we're gonna move a little bit forward. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm really gonna play it.
Okay. So anyway, number 4 on the list is, we'll see who agrees with this, who doesn't agree with it. Keith Richards.
No.
Keith Richards is ranked number 4 by this huge group of musicians that voted.
Well, I'll tell
So
you what about.
I guess he must have got the four. Pardon me?
Something about Keith Richards is try copying his stuff.
Yeah.
It's next to
Yeah,
impossible.
you know what,
To sound like, what's that?
Scotty Moore, who basically invented rockabilly guitars at 29, and you have Keith Richards up at number 4. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Sorry. I mean, I love the Stones. I love the Stones, but
yeah,
if you're talking about innovation, or you're talking about influence.
I have to agree with that. I love the Stones. I love Keith Richards. Let me just read the little bio here, not bio, but liner notes by Niles Lofgren. And Niles says, I remember being in junior high school, hearing Satisfaction for the first time and being freaked out by what it did to me. Now, that was kind of innovative for its time. You got to remember. I think I was in 6th or 7th grade when I heard it, and I'd never heard anything like it.
We played that song every night for years.
Okay. It's a combination of the riff and the chords moving underneath it. Keith wrote 2- and 3-note themes that were more powerful than any great solo. He played the vibrato rhythm and the lead guitar in Gimme Shelter. I don't think anyone has ever created a mood that dark and sinister. Well, those are some great points, I think, if you're listening that well. There is a clarity.
It's not even on the list.
Okay. There is a clarity between those two guitars that leaves this ominous space for Mick Jagger to sing through. Nobody does alternate tunings better than Keith. I remember playing the chorus to Beast of Burden. I'm like, these are the right chords, but they don't sound anything like Keith, And he had some
use
cool
cables and stuff.
Yeah,
they had the I've never seen anybody else in those days putting cables on their Stratocasters and stuff. It was just, and that's they do all the chord tuning, and they could do some really cool stuff. That's what I remember.
Yeah. Well, he goes on to say Keith started practicing a Chuck Berry riff. I'd never in my life heard it sound like that. I love Chuck Berry, but this was better. Not technically. There was an emotional content that spoke to me. What Chuck is to Keith, Keith is to me. What a wonderful write-up, though. Whether you agree with
that sounds great.
I don't think I could put Keith.
I don't know if he should be like that up there on the list, but for creating his own certain thing was pretty cool. That's what I liked about it. I don't know how the
uniqueness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what does the chat think? Are there people that agree, disagree? Jeff Davison says Scotty Moore should be higher. That was Elvis Presley's guitar player.
That's right. Absolutely.
Maria Day, no. She's talking about something else, though. But Caitlin Stoddard, I need to think about that, Jeff. Jeff said, heck, Brian Jones is better than Keith. Well, okay. So
Taylor is rated lower than Keith, so that's kind of weird.
Who is?
Mick Taylor.
Okay. Well, we're gonna move on to number 5 right now, and very talented guy. I never had a lot of his music, but I've got some albums that he played on, and I have one of his albums here, and this is Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck. Okay, how does everybody feel about Jeff Beck being rated the number 5 guitar player of all time? What do you guys think in the chat? I'd like to know what people are thinking about. I know Jeff Beck's always been highly regarded as a guitar player. He's a great guitar player, but they're all great guitar players. My brother's a great guitar player.
I think this is. I don't think you can hardly rate these people like this. I mean, this is a great show. Don't get me wrong. That's how most of the world is. Let's put he's number 1, he's number 2, stuff like that. But
and no two lists are going to be quite the same either.
Yeah, if you go into really looking at these guys and it's a whole different story.
Exactly.
It's added and who they were and like that and how they played. It's not just I'm 7, or I'm number 1.
Well, Maria Day says, to be honest, Maria Day says, to be honest, I don't know Jeff Beck very much. And you know, I've been hearing about Jeff Beck since I was a teenager, but I have to say, other than with his work in the Yardbirds, which I'm going to talk about next, now that we've looked at all three artists that were guitarists for the Yardbirds, I've got some Yardbirds albums I want to show. But you know, I was aware of him in the Yardbirds, and I had some friends that just couldn't say enough about how fantastic he was. But I never got into him. I don't remember ever until more recently having any of his music, you know. But I don't think, of all the guitarists out there, I don't think that I could put Jeff Beck at number 5. How does everybody else feel? Jeff Beck number 5, or you got a lot of people you'd put in front of him? I think I probably have a lot of people I'd put in front of him. And I've heard him play live before, you know. And he is good, you know, but good, kind of different, you know. He's got his own unique style. But I don't think I could put him number 5. And this is his little write-up is from Mike Campbell of the Heartbreakers. And what Mike has to say about Jeff Beck is Jeff Beck has a combination of brilliant technique and personality. It's like saying, I'm Jeff Beck. I'm right here, and you can't ignore me. That's kind of funny. That's how I am. You know, you can't ignore me. I'm right here. You could tell he was a serious player, and he was going for it. There's a real artistry to playing with and around a vocalist, answering and pushing him. That's the beauty of these two records he made with Rod Stewart. 1968's Truth and 1969's Beck Ola. Jeff is not getting in the way. He is holding his own, and he stretched the boundaries of the blues. One of my favorite tracks is the cover of Howlin' Wolf's. I love Howlin' Wolf. I Ain't Superstitious on Truth. There is a sense of humor and that wah-wah growl. I don't know if Clapton plays with that same sense of humor. As great as he is, Jeff definitely got that when he got into the fusion phase. The cover of Stevie Wonder's "'Cause We've Ended as Lovers," blow by blow, got me immediately. The tone was so pure and delicate. Okay, I'll stop right there. So Mike Campbell of the Heartbreakers absolutely loves Jeff Beck's style. And how does everybody else think about Jeff Beck? I personally never got into him that much, and I've always been aware of him. I always knew he was an amazing guitar player, and he had a lot of fans. But for some reason, I was too busy listening to other people, I guess.
Yeah.
What is your opinion, Scott? Oh, sorry, Rich. Go ahead, Rich.
I can't even think of much that he did right now. So he's probably not the number 5 for me right now. You know, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
I'm not that familiar with him. I know that sounds crazy. But I'm not.
No, I know that. What's funny is I'm the same way. And Caitlin Stoddard here, my dear friend Caitlin, says, I love Jeff Beck, with parentheses. I think I'd put other people at number 5, Maria Day. And I agree with you, Maria Day. And Jeff Davidson says, I'm not really a Jeff Beck fan, but I can appreciate it. And I can appreciate it too. And Maria Day also says, to be honest, I don't know Jeff Beck very well. And I have to be honest, I don't know Jeff Beck very well. I never got into him to the point where I was running out and buying his stuff. But what I'm going to show some Jeff Beck right now. Now, this is, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, and Jimmy Page all at one time or another played for the Yardbirds. In fact, when the Yardbirds broke up, Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck were playing for them in '68 when the band disintegrated. And what happened is Jeff Beck had already kind of started his own solo project, and he asked Jimmy Page to come down the studio, lay down some tracks, and Jimmy Page did. And he laid down some tracks on a number of songs, but in particular, the song Bolero. Beck's Bolero was always brought up as his, it's kind of like Stairway to Heaven or, Purple Haze, or it's a song that always gets identified with Jeff Beck. And here it is, Beck's Bolero. It's one of the songs on this Jeff Beck Truth album. And Jimmy Page played on this album. And I think that's just really cool. They were buddies. And they played in the band together. And I tell you what, I love the Yardbirds. I mean, I like them more now than I did in 64 and 65 when they were a big part of the British invasion. You know, the Beatles and the Stones and Eric Clapton and so many other bands were getting kind of top billing. But what was missed there by a lot of people were, if you look back at a lot of the, you know, Beatles stuff, you'd think they were kind of teeny popper now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know that they would stand the test of time other than the fact that we're all huge fans of theirs and they're such a big part of our lives. And I'm not putting them down. I've been buying Beatles every time I come across a nice used album. I got a whole bunch of Beatles and I love the Beatles. But anyway, but the Yardbirds, now that was on a whole nother level. It's circulating right now on YouTube. You know, you might not even have to look for it. I don't have to look for it because I've gone looking for it too many times and it's always there when I turn YouTube on. They know what you want to see. But if you look at if you listen to the Yardbirds, Heart of Soul, those songs, Heart of Soul, and some of the others that the Yardbirds did. Okay, for example, you've got they were really blues based too. Heart Full of Soul, I'm sorry. Heart Full of Soul and I'm a Man are really big Yardbirds songs. And I think a lot of people don't even know who played them. But if you listen to that Keith Reef sing, and if you watch Heart Full of Soul, watch the video. It's on YouTube. Just type it in, Heart Full of Soul, and watch Jimmy Page playing kind of like a wild man, and Jeff Beck standing there all reserved. They're playing, you know, the same band at the same time. It's just great. I mean, the Yardbirds were top of the class as far as I'm concerned. Looking back now, you know.
I think
and so what I have here, pardon me.
I think I saw Jimmy Page with his daughter on YouTube. I just ran across. He was with his daughter in a bar, in a smaller like bar venue, you know.
Oh, okay.
And there was a crowd there, and his daughter playing bass.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and they did a bunch of tunes. It was really good, and it was just I don't know, they were starting up something again or whatever, but it was down. It was like looked like almost like a basement bar or something, you know. Just and this is a couple months ago. I just kind of accidentally ran across it, but it was pretty cool. He did a lot of instrumental stuff, and she played bass. It was pretty cool. There was only four of them. There was him, his daughter, a drummer, and I think they had somebody on a Hammond, an organ, B3.
Oh, really? I'm trying to say hi to a new person that joined us in the chat. Brian Amateur. Hi, Brian. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining us. Okay, so what I want to do now is, because I love the Yardbirds, and the Yardbirds, you had, like I said, Eric Clapton played with them first, and then somewhere along the line he left, and they tapped. They were such a good band that people like Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck, you know, gravitated toward them whenever there was an opening. And so here's the Yardbirds' greatest hits, and this is really a great album. Like I said, Heart Full of Soul's on here. I'm a Man's on here. New York City Blues, I'm So Sad. 10 years time ago, happening 10 years time ago. For Your Love. Remember that song? Everybody remembers that song. That was a huge hit. And but that was the Yardbirds, you know. Smokestack Lightning, great blues cover. So anyway, so the Yardbirds did that. I've got about 5 Yardbirds albums. And on the back of one of them, it shows all the different players that played for him and what other bands they went to afterward. Showed where Clapton went, showed where Page went, you know. And so here's the Yardbirds, London, 1963, the first recordings with Sonny Boy Williams, the blues player. The English fans loved all the old American blues players and copied them. They wanted to know them. They wanted to play with them. They were really inspired by them. And the British invasion was inspired by American blues players, and they took it to maybe a little different level, and it made it a little more rock, a little less blues, a little more rock. But sometimes it was just straight up blues. And I'm a big blues fan. I was part of the Blues Society here in San Luis Obispo, and they were involved with the Blues Cruise. And Betty and I went on a blues cruise to the Caribbean for 7 days, and there was a blues act every night playing there, and I really enjoyed it. So anyway, so this is great. You can imagine this is a 2-album set, and it's just going to be with Sonny Boy Williamson. it's going to be primarily a blues album, and it is a blues album. Pontiac Blues, Out on the Waterfront, I Don't Care No More, Bye Bye Bird, 23 Hours Too Long, Smokestack Lightning, You Can't Judge a Book by Looking at the Cover. I mean, these are blues songs. Honey in Your Hips, Boom Boom. Yeah, those are all really notable blues songs. So anyway, okay, so that's the Yardbirds. Three of the most famous, three of the people in the top 5 played in the Yardbirds. Okay, so Brian says that would be nice. Broncos are my number 2. Oh, we're talking Aaron Rodgers. Caitlin knows more about sports than anybody I ever met. Caitlin Stoddard. She is a huge sports fan. I mean, she trades baseball cards and everything. And she's talking about Aaron Rodgers. Huh? Yeah, I know. Okay,
My son,
gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I should say. We're going to move on now to number 6. And sadly, and I don't know why, because I've seen this guy in concert twice, I don't have a single album or CD of his, and I don't know why. I've had some CDs in the past, but none other than B.B. King.
Oh yeah, B.B. King cracks me up because he does these concerts with all these other young rock and roll players. It's B.B. King.
Well, everybody loves him. Everybody loves him.
I don't know. There's like 3 or 4 other guitar players that are big time up there with him.
Yeah,
he just does his thing.
I saw him with oh God, who was it? It was the guitar player that Jimi Hendrix called when he was alive the greatest living guitar player.
Billy Gibbons?
No.
Really?
No, I've heard stuff close to that too. But no, he's a bluesman. He wears the polka dotted shirts, plays a polka dotted guitar. I have no idea why I can't remember his name right now. Fantastic guitar player. I saw him in concert 2 or 3 times, and once with B.B. King, and they were just great. I'll think of it before the night's over. Okay, so B.B. King. B.B. King, number 6. How do people feel about B.B. King being rated as the 6th greatest guitar player of all time? And I think something about this list, a lot of the people that voted were inspired by some of these people, and they maybe know some of this stuff on a little bit different level than we do, is what I'm guessing. Jeff Davidson saw B.B. King twice. Buddy Guy, Jeff, thank you. Jeff said Buddy somebody, but it was Buddy Guy. Buddy Guy.
People don't realize that Glenn Campbell is way up there.
Oh, Glenn Campbell is such a good guitar player.
Cowboy
you know what? So is Roy Clark. Remember, Dad used to make us watch Hee Haw? I mean, when Hee Haw came on, it was mandatory Hee Haw night. I don't care if you were playing cops and robbers out in the neighborhood. The door would swing open, and Dad would yell us on because he was a huge country artist, and you had to come home. But the funny thing is, we learned to love it.
Hey,
the only country artist that's on here for guitar player is Willie Nelson. That's it.
But Roy Clark should be on there too. Roy Clark was a good picker.
Roy Clark is amazing.
Yeah,
much better than. I don't understand why, if they're going to include in, Willie Nelson, why they don't put in Dolly Parton, who's also an amazing guitar player.
Yeah, she's a banjo and guitar. She gets down.
Okay.
So
I saw her on Johnny Carson on an old Johnny Carson thing just the other day. I was watching a bunch of Johnny Carson stuff, and she was on there, and she wrote a song for him. But she come on with a guitar, and her picks were her fingernails, and she fingerpicked it.
She wrote "I Will Always Love You" and Jolene the same day.
Jolene, yeah.
No, I didn't know that she wrote the same day.
Same day.
But that's pretty neat, man. Just bam, that's great.
Maria Day said B.B. King. She saw B.B. King with Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and that would have been a great show. I've seen Kenny Wayne Shepherd. He was at the tribute to Hendrix that I saw, where that was a great show. Let's see. I put Stevie. Jeff Davidson says he put Stevie Ray Vaughn over B.B. King. I would have to say all day long to that.
I agree, and I think that I personally like Albert King better than B.B. King.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that Albert King Stevie Ray Vaughn thing? That's like they're jamming together in the studio, and it's like they have a backing band.
No.
And they're trading solos, and it's like an hour and a half long.
I'd like to see that. I need to look that up.
You should watch it. It's amazing. It's like from like right before Stevie Ray is just at that point where he's starting to break.
Stevie Ray was insane. I think the smallest string on his guitar was like a 13.
I know. He has
anybody else's fingers wide open. What do you think, Rich?
Tiny things. I'm buying all these little thin strings so I can bend them, and he's got all the big thick ones in his.
I know. Yeah, eights and nines, and they snap every 10th time you bend them, right?
I start with a 10 right now. I go up to a 46, I think.
10 to 46, yeah. That's on your acoustic? Okay, right on.
That's on the electric. The acoustic starts with an 11. I use medium lights on acoustic.
I got to say hi to someone who's going.
So what do you got next? Number 7?
I have number 7 next, yes. I just said hi to Bob. Bob just joined us. He says, I'm old school about guitar players. Keith Richards, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, and James Hetfield. Okay. Okay, I like it. All right, number 7. Just like B.B. King at 6, number 7, I don't have a single album of number 7. And but I love this guy. I love this guy. Chuck Berry, number 7.
Oh yeah.
All you need is the album that's the Big 28, and it's like every song it's like a hit.
Oh man.
The Big 28.
This is too crazy. This is too crazy.
You know what, Scott? I'm going to look for that because I really like this guy, and I have had his music before. I've had CDs and cassettes and stuff like that. And,
I'll see if I can find the CD. You keep talking.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you know what, and I don't think anybody influenced Keith Richards more than Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry was Keith Richards. What's that?
You think so? You think that Chuck? Yeah, it could be. What do you do?
Well, maybe it was you. Show us something. Show us something, brother.
Anyway, okay, Chuck Berry. And he always used to.
Yeah, back to the 12-bar blues. Yeah.
The Great 28.
Oh, the Great 28. Okay, I'm going to look for that, Scott. I need some Chuck Berry. I love Chuck Berry.
That's all you need.
Berry, he was funny, but it's another style thing, though. It's their style, It's what they did.
Keith Richards said, I would have loved to have just, had a beer and told stories with Chuck Berry, but he wasn't like that. And Chuck Berry, I understand, was a little bit, Keith finally got to tour with him. He was like his hero. Style-wise, Keith copied a lot of the way Chuck Berry played, and it was a little hard to get along with. Chuck Berry was for Keith, Of course, Keith copied his style a lot, but you're going to put your own little twist on it, and so it was never quite right for Chuck Berry. He was always getting on his ass about it. Anyway, so
Keith Richards might have got a lot from him, but he gave it his own little, like we've been talking about.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Style.
What's funny about the liner notes here? No surprise at all. They're written by Keith Richards. I have to read a little bit of it. Okay. When I saw Chuck Berry in Jazz on a Summer's Day as a teenager, what struck me was how he was playing against the grain with a bunch of jazz guys. They were brilliant guys like Joe Jones on drums, Jack Tiergarten on trombone, but they had that jazz attitude cats up on sometimes. This is rock and roll. With Sweet Little 16, Chuck took them all by storm and played against their animosity. To me, that's blues. That's the attitude and the guts it takes. That's what I wanted to be, except I was white. I listened to every lick he played and picked it up. Chuck got it from T-Bone Walker. I got it from Chuck. Muddy Waters, Elmore James, and B.B. King. We're all part of this family. Goes way back thousands of years. Really, we're all passing it on. Chuck was playing a slightly heated up version of Chicago blues that guitar boogie, which all the cats were playing. But he took it to another level. He was a little younger than the older blues guys, and his songs were more commercial without just being pop, which is a hard thing to do. Chuck had the swing. There's rock, but it's the roll that counts. And he goes on a little bit. Anyway, that's kind of cool. Any more Chuck Berry comments?
He's another individual, man. He had that. He was funny.
Yeah.
He was just funny. I mean, he wrote funny songs.
that thing he did on stage where he went across the stage with his, I don't know what you,
the duck walk.
I don't know what you,
Chuck Berry walk.
what's it called?
The duck walk.
Duck walk. Okay, yeah,
Well,
no, that was a duck
right.
walk.
We used to call it the
Yeah.
Chuck Berry walk, but you're right.
Yeah, when I used to get in trouble in the Boy Scouts, they'd make me duck walk to punish me. And Chuck Berry did it on stage to entertain.
Me and Barry Morris and Dwayne Watson used to all three do that together when we played together.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, all in a line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crack everybody up, you know.
Yeah, I wished I would have seen that. You know, I never got to come back there that often. You know, back to Vegas where we grew up.
We did the duck or Chuck walk, whatever, and everybody just crack up.
Yeah, I mean, no Keith Richards without Chuck Berry. So, I mean, Chuck Berry should be where Keith Richards is, number 4. In this
I could go with that. I could go with that. Okay, number 8. We have moved on to number 8, and half this magazine is almost devoted a tribute to this man, and that is Edward Van Halen. And it's funny how he described his guitar hero as melodic, because as much as I loved Eddie Van Halen's music, he was anything but melodic. In fact, when he reunited with David Lee Roth, they came to the Paso Robles Fairgrounds, and me and Betty and my youngest daughter Nicole and her husband and his friend and girlfriend, we all went to see Eddie Van Halen. We were all fans, and I think of course, they were all, David Lee Roth in particular didn't look anything like the David Lee Roth of old. He wasn't getting 6 feet of air when he leaped into the air and stuff like that. I was afraid he's going to hurt himself. But it was a great concert. We couldn't have cared less about the antics. The music was great. But what I really loved about that show is when it was all over and everybody left the stage and we're all out there screaming for an encore and clapping, refusing to leave, stomping our feet. What happens is here comes Eddie Van Halen carrying a little wooden chair, goes up to the front of the stage, lowers the microphone, and sits there and for about another 35 minutes just solos by himself. And that, to me, that was, as much as I loved the whole show, to see him come back out for at least 30 minutes and just solo was just remarkable. Such a great guitar player.
At Thomas and Mack. I saw him with David Lee Roth, and me and Victor Wellborn went. We were on the floor at Thomas and Mack Center, and we were just 7 rows back. We were seeing perfect, And David Lee Roth was jumping around and doing all this thing. This was quite a while back, and it was great. It was a great show. I mean, he does stuff with the guitar that nobody else does. That was his.
No, he does. Well, what's really funny? He gets all the credit for the 2-hand tapping and stuff like that. Yeah. There's a video, and you can do a search for it, and it's his parents. Their parents were both musicians. The Van Halen boys were from Amsterdam, and when they moved here, they didn't speak one word of English, either one of them, Eddie or Alex.
No kidding.
And they grew up in Amsterdam. Their parents wanted them, in particular, the mother wanted them to be concert pianists, and had them taking piano lessons their whole life. And it was a mixed race family, and they moved to the Netherlands. And from what I read, they weren't treated very well. Something about the mixed race family. So they finally migrated to, I don't know, Santa Monica, somewhere in Los Angeles.
Wasn't there mother something Asian or something, Japanese or something? What was something like that?
Yeah. I couldn't really tell.
I'm not sure about that.
But when they got here, they were taking piano lessons from a pretty prestigious piano player, and they came home one day and said they were joining a rock and roll band, and Alex was going to play the guitar and Eddie was going to play the drums, just the opposite of what wound up happening in the band. And one day that famous drum song, and I talk about this often, especially when we unbox the Beach Boys, "Wipe Out" by the Safaris. And I don't know, you 3 years behind me, but when I was in 7th grade, 8th grade, If you walked into a classroom and the teacher wasn't there yet, and everybody was, all the guys at least, some of the girls were playing Wipeout on their desk. It was like the biggest thing ever for a few months, is playing Wipeout.
Well, I
You remember
played drums
Diddy
in
Perry?
elementary school. I played drums in elementary school for a couple of years.
Oh, that's right. You started out.
Remember when they
drums.
bought me that marching drum? Mom and Dad bought me that used marching drum.
Oh yeah, right.
We had to have a marching drum to be in the beginning band. So I was beginning band and intermediate for 2 years in elementary. And when we got to playing, all of us be back for Wipeout before class started, you know?
Well, you know what's funny? What's funny is my brother and I started taking guitar lessons together at what was the name of that little record store uptown?
Crosby Music Center.
Crosby Music Center. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so Tommy Workman was taking them with us, and a couple of other people we knew were all in there. And some guitarist from a band in Las Vegas was giving the lessons. And we hung out for a few months, and we all quit at the same time. We did everything in groups. We all quit. And while I wasn't paying attention, my younger brother went back and continued to take lessons for a number of years. And by the time he was in junior high, they'd set the band up in my front yard, and all the kids in the neighborhood would be there. And every single member of the band, if I remember right, wasn't it like Chad McCall's little brother? What was his name?
No, we had. Let me see. Back then, oh gosh, we had. Oh God, I can't hardly remember. We had neighborhood kids though. Sometimes it was sometimes it was Jim Daly. Sometimes most of Steve White's and remember Steve White's, right?
Yeah.
Steve and Donnie White's. And
well, what I remember though is everybody in the band you taught how to play their instrument.
Pretty much,
with
yeah.
With all of the Creedence Clearwater 8 tracks you stole from me.
Oh yeah, I used to hear tapes of Rolling Stones. They were good tapes though.
They were good tapes. It was good.
I learned a little bit off them, but I wasn't much of an ear learner then. But I kind of started getting that over the years, you know. When I got more familiar with the guitar, I could learn more by ear because I knew what stuff would sound like when I played it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right. Hi, Scott. So Bob over here is saying a great video on YouTube is Muddy Waters playing at the Checkerboard Club in Chicago with the Stones joining him on stage. Now I am going to find that, Bob. Thank you. I love stuff like that. I really do. So anyway, Eddie Van Halen, what do we think? Should Eddie Van Halen be 8, 7, 6, 5, 4?
I don't know.
I think 8's too low for such an innovator like Eddie Van Halen.
I do.
What do you guys think?
I think he probably should be up there a little closer to the top, you know. As far as
he could be in the top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5. I could put Eddie Van Halen in the top 5. Oh, what I wanted to tell you, we got a little off track. We're always off track, and that's okay. This isn't scripted. But anyway, so there was a tape circulating. I was talking about Eddie Van Halen's parents being musicians and wanting them to be concert pianists. Well, there's a tape circulating of Eddie Van Halen and Alex Van Halen's father playing the guitar, and guess what? And this is a really old tape, and he's doing all the two-hand tapping that Eddie Van Halen does. When I saw that, it just blew my mind. Actually, I posted it on Facebook, you know.
His father was doing
Eddie Van Halen's father doing the two-hand tapping, you know.
Well, no wonder.
Yeah, and so Eddie heard Alex. Eddie heard Alex play the drums better than he could play them, and he was supposed to be the drummer.
Oh,
so he said, "That's it. Why don't you just take the drums? I'll learn the guitar." And that was that.
My son, Little Rich, he could play the House of the Rising Sun when he was 4 years old on guitar.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's in there on the classical. I got him. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, I've been trying to play it since I was about 12 years old, and I know better now than I was then, unfortunately.
I knew right
there.
then.
So Eddie Van Halen, we loved him. Let me see what I've got here. I don't think I would have left out some of his music. I got a bunch of stuff I didn't show. Eddie Van Halen. All right, let me see. I got out some Eddie Van Halen albums, just like I got out some Stones albums. We were talking about Keith Richards. Here's my original pressing of Beggar's Banquet by the Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones, Some Girls, the sliding cover. Original with the yellow hair on some of them, you know. And then an original pressing of Sticky Fingers with the zipper that slides up and down on the cover.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one before. Yeah,
I have the new one too. I have the new one on 180 gram vinyl, but I've been looking for that for a long time, and I finally found it. You know, the first one I found was the vinyl was all scratched up. You were buying it for the cover, and there's no way I was going to do that. So I finally found a nice copy of it. Okay, so I wanted to show that when we were talking about Keith Richards, but you know, there's so much to talk about. It's so easy to get lost in it all. But I did have some. I did pull some Eddie Van Halen out.
Keith Richards kind of cheated, you know. Keith Richards kind of cheated. When you're a young guitar player trying to figure out his licks, you had no idea. He was tuning the chords and stuff, and not
right.
and you doing all kinds of weird stuff. So you're sitting there, you know, blowing your brains out trying to figure out something he's playing, right? And I never did get some of it. I never did get to say that.
I did a Led Zeppelin vinyl unboxing because I'm a huge Led Zeppelin fan, and most of my Led Zeppelin was on CD, not vinyl, and it was kind of embarrassing to me. So since then, I have the entire set of studio albums now.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
For Led Zeppelin, I've got, of course, Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3, and three's got the little wheel that turns. And the faces change as they come around the dial. Here's the boys on the back. That's 3. And then I've got what's the 4th album. It's not called Led Zeppelin 4, but it's their 4th album. It's got Stairway to Heaven on it. I've been looking for this one for a long time, but they're redoing it now, and they're all remastered by Jimmy Page. And
did you ever run across the album? Did you ever run across the Led Zeppelin? It was a live album. My son had it. I listened to it at his house one night. Something happened to them that night, the band. And it's probably a pretty rare album now, but it was a live album and nothing sounded right. It was unbelievable. I'm not cutting them down.
I've got a two CD set of live at the BBC. They did some BBC sessions. And the first time I heard it, I was so used to the studio albums, I didn't really like it. But the last time I put it in, I stayed on my tape deck for a long time, and I really do like it now. And what's happening now is a lot of this live stuff's being reproduced. Some of it's even FM recordings off a radio station, you know. Mm-hmm. But here's Houses of the Holy, Led Zeppelin. I just got this from The Wizard's Lair. Most of you know who I'm talking about. He was been on the show for a long time with us. They've kind of moved on. I have Physical Graffiti. I have Presence. This has got kind of a plain wrapper on it, but it is okay.
Into the Outdoor.
Into the Outdoor. It's got the normal cover, but for some reason it's got this
the paper bag.
Paper bag, yeah, paper bag. Coda. Thank you, paper bag.
Coda.
And then the song remains the same. I missed out on getting the Mothership. It was down at the local record store for a long time, a 4-album set. And I was so bummed out. I bought that Hendrix 8-album set I showed a bit ago. But I've got this too, and this was great. This is a 4-album set.
That's amazing.
The song remains the same, a 4-album set.
It's great.
Yeah. And it's got some great stuff here. So, okay, so let me just get caught up. We've been talking so much, I'm not showing my vinyl I wanted to show. Okay, Eddie Van Halen, Diver Down. Eddie Van Halen, I think it's 1984, I believe they call this one. We've done our Eddie Van Halen unboxing. This is the original album, Eddie Van Halen. And believe me, it is an original, and it's pretty damn thrash too. I hate to admit, I got to get another one. And I love the cover on this. This devilish-looking little boy with 2 packs of cigarettes right here. This is just such a great cover. I think that's an awesome cover. Okay, I think I'm kind of caught up now with stuff I was going to show. There's still some more, but we're not there yet. Okay, so Eddie Van Halen. Any more comments? So I think we all think he should be higher than number 8. I think we all kind of agree on that. The song remains the same. Jeff Davidson. Bob says Caitlin talking with Muddy Waters with a history of the blues. So Bob, you actually got to talk with Muddy Waters? That's great. Royce, where's the puppy? You know, Caitlin, she's barking at my feet. Why don't I pick her up? Come here, Mo. The
Mo?
Unicorn, where you at? Monroe. Come here, Moe. Come on, baby.
Monroe. Okay, good one. That's a good one, Monroe.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been hot, so I had to take
You
off
close
her
for comfort,
unicorn
Monroe?
costume.
Oh, don't
This
put that
is
on.
Monroe's unicorn costume. She's the vinyl unicorn.
She
And
hates
used to come
that
on all the
costume.
shows with me. And
Yeah, she hates that.
oh, she especially when it got hot, she just hated
We
me.
got my little
But anyway,
Chewini.
so I
check this
picked up that costume and she ran off.
And that's what I said. She hates it. But I
Oh,
got
she
my little
does hate it,
Chewini,
yeah.
a service. I got my dog a service vest. He only weighs 8 pounds. He's a little tiny Chewini. And we put it on him, and he just stood there and wouldn't move in his service vest, right? So he's a big
Gotcha.
service animal. He wouldn't even move. He just stood there. Like he looked like an
Right.
armadillo. It said
Well, you know,
service.
I hate to say it, but here's another one of the top 10 that I don't have an album of, you know, and he's a fantastic guitar player. He taught Eric Clapton how to play, you know, slide guitar, which Eric Clapton went on to play on While My Guitar Gently Weeps, George Harrison's song. And that's Dwayne Allman.
You don't have any Allman Brothers vinyl?
I have one album, but not with Dwayne on it.
That was a sad
You want me to
story.
pull out my Allman Brothers collection?
Yeah, please show your Allman Brothers. I'd like to see it. And while you're gone, I'm going to talk about the write-up here on this one was written by Robert Randolph. Now, I can't really say that I know who Robert Randolph is. Do you know who Robert Randolph is, Rich?
No, it kind of rings a bell. I'm not sure if he was some sort of a manager or something like that. He may have been a musician. He sounds like he might have been one of the managers or something.
I'm pretty sure he's probably a musician. You know what's cool about this magazine? It also has a playlist from all these people, the essential playlist. That at some point I can do that too. You know, go through that a little bit with people. Make a show. Okay, what do you have there?
So this is an early Allman's record that came out after the fact, after Dwayne passed, called the Early Allman Joys. You know anything about the Allman Joys? This is like before the Allman Brothers, 1966, 67, 68. And I do have it on vinyl. Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I also have the first Allman's record.
Come on. Oh, shoot.
On vinyl.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you have these. I need to get some Allman Brothers.
I have the second album, Beginnings.
Okay, right on.
I'm pulling them all out of the plastics.
Jeff Davidson just informed me that Robert Randolph, who did this write-up,
Live at the Fillmore East.
plays slide guitar. He's amazing.
This is a very, very important record.
Which one is it?
Live at the Fillmore East.
Okay. I've seen that.
This is an amazing, amazing live record.
Okay. Live at the Fillmore East. I'm going to have to
Live
get
at the
that.
Fillmore East. I also have Eat a Peach.
Eat a Peach. I remember that album.
Yep. And
Which one is your favorite? Live at Fillmore East?
Live at the Fillmore East.
Okay.
I'll tell you a story about Live at the Fillmore East in a minute.
Okay.
But I have this is Brothers and Sisters. This is after Dwayne passed.
Okay.
This has Ramblin' Man on it.
Okay.
So anyway, when I was in junior high school, and that's like 79, 80, a lot of kids were into the Grateful Dead. There was a big thing in the town where I was living. Well, one of the kids that I used to hang out with had a Panasonic Platinum boombox and smoking weed, walking around, you know, high school, junior high or whatever. He told me he's like forget the Grateful Dead. He's like got to hear Allman's live at the Fillmore East. So if you've never heard that record or you don't know that record, you also can get it in a box set. It's like 4 CDs. It's like original recordings, but other recordings remastered that were not included in the original album.
All the box, they're doing that with all the box sets now.
Tom Dowd produced it. Everything you can hear the drums like hard left, hard right. So like if you're listening to it on a headset, you hear the percussion going on. You got 2 drummers. You got JMO. You got Butch Trucks playing, and you got all the guitar going on, and you got the interplay between Dwayne and Greg. And if you like blues and you like hard blues, very influential. Nice. Very, I mean, they probably, in my opinion, the best jam band ever.
Wow, that's impressive.
So you should check it out. If you don't know Live at the Fillmore East, I really suggest that you should pick it up. And so Dwayne played on a lot of 60s recordings as well. He played with Aretha Franklin. There's a lot of different artists that he played with. So, you know, he's obviously a part of Derek and the Dominoes. He wrote that second section of Layla.
That's right.
The second section, the bridge part or whatever, that's all Dwayne. So it was another sort of thing that was sad. He died, you know, too early, like Hendrix. Very, very talented.
Very talented.
Very talented.
Okay, so Dwayne Allman, you know, that's 3 out of the top 10. I don't have their music. I do have this guy's music. I think Monroe would like me to put her bed up here. She spends half her time on my desk. Okay, hold on, Monroe. We're gonna make a space for you.
Peppy spends most of the time under the covers. Because he was those were bred for like hunting like snakes and stuff and rats and stuff. Anything that dwelled in the hole, you know, those little needle nose can go in them holes and grab them.
Oh yeah. We've got a lot of stuff here that the dogs get after. I've even got a little tribe of cottontail rabbits living on the front bank. I buy carrots and feed them, you know. But every once in a while, one gets caught. But they've gotten pretty smart now. Okay,
have you ever seen Derek Trucks play guitar?
I don't know.
Derek Trucks?
Derek Trucks is
Butch Trucks. You don't know? So Derek Trucks is Butch Trucks from the Allman Brothers' nephew. And he's like a guitar protege.
I haven't.
He came into the Allmans when he was like 18 years old, 19 years old. And he's like, people like, oh, he's like a reincarnation of Dwayne.
Really?
But he's like like into Coltrane. So he's like playing all these things with his fingers and sliding and doing all the slide stuff. He's really amazing.
Wow. You know, what's his first name again?
Check that out too. There's a live Allmans thing, One Way Out, that came out like I think it's like 2000 or something like that, 2001. And you know, Dickie Betts is not in the Allmans anymore at that point. But it's also what's it called? It's the government mule guy. Why am I blanking or whatever? Anyway, if you want to watch Derek Trucks smoke, like watch that video. Okay. Like it's on YouTube. Okay. You should check it out. Anyway.
And which video is it again?
It's called One Way Out. It's live at the Beacon.
Oh,
live at the Beacon Theater.
No, I've totally seen the name and heard the name many times, but I really didn't know who he was.
The Allman Brothers would play the Beacon shows in March every year from like 1989 through 2010 when they retired. They did their retirement thing. So they would play like a string of 3 weeks or whatever at the Beacon, and all the sets would be completely different. Okay. I got to meet them. Cool. I got to meet them backstage, which was I went to I saw I have a T-shirt signed by all the members at the time, And yeah, it was amazing. A friend of mine knows. He knew with Mark Canones, who's in the Almonds, is the percussionist, and we were able to get backstage. We, and we during intermission, that's when Dickie was still in the band, and they all came out, and Mark was like, "Come on over, guys. I got some friends here that want to talk to you, or whatever." And they, he passed the shirt around. They totally signed it. Greg was backstage doing drugs or whatever. He came back out, and we were able to actually get it to sign once he came back out on stage. And we watched the second set from backstage on the side of the stage. It was pretty amazing to see Dickie Betts and shake his hand. I mean, Dickie is like, he's not on this list either, which is another weirdness to me. I mean, an amazing guitar player. If you ever heard, he has a solo record. His first solo record, Richard Betts, is amazing. It's like, if you like country, and he's a country guy, so it's got a southern country,
like southern rock.
Yeah, more country though. More
Okay.
country than southern rock. Southern rock has a little more Zeppelin in it and stuff. Like Leonard Skinner. But that's not that's not what this is. But yeah, but that's also good. It's called Richard. It's a Richard Betts first record. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Well, thanks for all that. Thanks for all that.
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna move to number 10, and I do have some of his albums here. Albums he played on, part of the band, and that is Pete Townshend, The Who.
I love Pete Townshend. I think he's he's very underrated. If you listen to Live at Leeds, you can tell that he can play lead.
Right.
He can play lead. I mean, he's not a technical guy at all. He's a power chords and stuff, but he can lead for sure.
Yeah, well, I've always liked The Who, and I've got several of their albums. I got a couple here that I'm gonna show here in a second. And let's see, but he was written up by, and I don't know who Andy Summers is. I bet Jeff Davidson.
Andy Summers is in the Police.
Okay. All right, Andy Summers.
In Vegas, I saw the Who at the MGM in Vegas after they weren't together forever, and then they got together for a benefit in Las Vegas. And
I see.
Frankie Sandoval. You remember him, don't you? My good friend.
Yeah.
He gave me 2 tickets, and me and my son went to it.
Okay.
And they had a supermodel there. They came up and talked with what's the guy's name? David Spade come up. The comedian guy. Yeah. And then he came on. They weren't rehearsing, but they still did some good songs. They just got kind of, I think, just all flew in from different parts of the world and just played, But it was still fun. Still fun, yeah. They had the original lead singer and bass player, and I don't know. They may have all been original. I don't know. They were all old dudes.
Okay, so Andy Summers, who was in the Police, writes, Pete Townshend doesn't play many solos, just like you were saying, Scott, which might be why so many people don't realize just how good he really is. And that makes sense, He's not the Eddie Van Halen or somebody, but he's so important to rock. He's a visionary musician who really lit the whole thing up. His rhythm guitar really lit the whole thing up. Sorry. His rhythm guitar playing is extremely exciting and aggressive. He's a savage player in a way. Savage, I like that. He has a wonderful, fluid physicality with the guitar that you don't see often. And his playing is very much a reflection of who he is as a person. A very intense guy, a true believer. He's like the original punk, the first one to destroy guitar on stage. That's right, huh?
Yep.
I remember that. He's like the original punk. Okay, a breathtaking statement at that point in time. He always had the tremendous stage thing. But he's also a very articulate. I got to start wearing my glasses. He's also a very articulate, literate person. He listens to a lot of jazz, and he told me that's what he'd really like to be doing on Substitute, you can hear that influence of Miles Davis' modal approach in the way his chords move against the open D string. And I'm sure there are people that understand that. He was using feedback early, which I think was influenced by European avant-garde musicians like Stockhausen and art school thing. The big ringing chords he used in The Who were so musically smart when you consider how busy the drumming and bass playing were in the band. It could have gotten chaotic if not for him. He more or less invented the power chord. And see, I didn't know that. And you can hear a sort of pre-Zeppelin thing in The Who's 60s work. So much of the stuff came from him. He got the message across. That's an awesome write-up right there on Pete Townsend, I think. Yeah. And I've got a couple of albums here. If I can find them. I thought I had this stuff all organized, but I didn't. Not in the least little bit. I got stuff everywhere. Up on top the printer. Okay, here we go. This was for honorable mention. I never used it. Okay, I had this album as a kid too. Maybe the 8-track.
Meaty Beaty, Big and Bouncy.
Meaty Beaty, Big and Bouncy.
I have it too. I love that record. Great.
I know. It was a good one. I remember really liking it. I haven't listened to it lately. I haven't listened to it in a while, to be honest with you. But I really liked it, and I need to start listening to it again. It's a gatefold. We all love the gatefolds. It gives you that little something extra, you know. Sometimes there's a 2-album set. Sometimes there's a booklet or a poster. Sometimes it's just a single album like this and a nice gatefold. Gatefolds are cool. I got a bunch of Elton John albums, and so many of them are gatefolds. And then I also have Tommy the Who.
Nice.
Yeah. I have some more Who too, but I didn't want to, not trying to grab everything, you know. So anyway, and this is a gatefold also.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my Pete Townsend that I was going to show. I don't want to get too off track here, but just make another mention about the new Yardbirds. You know, Jimmy Page, when the Yardbirds fell apart, Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page were both playing for him. And Beck had Page come and play, you know, on some new tracks some tracks, period, on his new album that he was doing. And afterwards, Jimmy Page, anxious to get back on the road and get playing again, he called up John Paul Jones, who was another session musician, plays a bunch of different instruments and considered a top musician in England at the time. Told him what he had in mind, and John Paul Jones said, "Sure, yeah, I'll go with you." And then they went and visited a singer who had something else he'd already started, and he passed on it. I bet he really kicks himself because I've never heard of him hardly, you know. And then somebody told him about, you ought to go see Robert Plant. In fact, the singer they went to see first told him, go check out this Robert Plant. They found an 18-year-old Robert Plant singing in his basement, and they liked what they heard. And so they offered him to go with them, and he goes, well, you got to hear the drummer. He was in a band called Band of Joy. Robert Plant, his band was Band of Joy. He's 18 years old. And so they went and listened to John Bonham play, and they, hey, you want to join the band? You can join with us too. So they wanted to get going, and the Yardbirds had just disbanded just months earlier. And but they had a bunch of concert tour dates that they weren't going to fulfill. So they had some ideas on a band name. I don't want to talk about that now. Caitlin and I talked about this and about some sort of music trivia questions and stuff that I don't want to get into too much. I was almost hesitant to pull this out. But so they took off and did all the Scandinavian tours that the Yardbirds were supposed to do as the new Yardbirds, you know. And a lot of the songs on this wound up on Led Zeppelin 1. It only took them 30 hours to record Led Zeppelin 1 because they're already playing all the songs that were on practically. You know. Anyway, enough said. I don't want to give too much away here. We might be doing some little games and contests later where people are gonna get to answer some questions and figure out some kind of prizes. I don't know whether it's gonna be a new Tesla or a new Mercedes-Benz. Yeah.
Where do I sign up at?
Right. So anyway, hey, Bob says Bo Diddley was an excellent guitar player. Yes, he was. Now, Bob, I may be confused, but I thought it was Bo Diddley. I'm not even drinking tonight. I thought it was Bo Diddley that played the cigar box guitars.
He did. I saw him live in Vegas.
Was he playing some cigar boxes?
Well, he was playing a guitar that looked like a cigar box.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
He was playing the same. Yeah, he was playing that guitar. I thought, what the heck is that? You know?
Yeah. Right.
Homemade, but I don't think it was homemade, but it looked like a homemade guitar.
Right. So, in this issue of Rolling Stone, we have the 100 greatest guitarists. We're going to stop here at 10, and at some future shows, we'll probably go, 11 through 21, and then, 21 through 31, whatever. I eventually want to work my way through most of this, and then look at the essential song list too, and just have a little discussion about, read through the songs and discuss them a little bit, whether or not we think that was the song they should have chosen for that artist, that kind of thing. So anyway, so that's anybody got anything they want to add or say or to the show at all?
No, I
actually
think come on tonight. I had fun. It was
well, I'm glad you came on, Rich. I appreciate it. Everybody, this is my younger brother. I've mentioned that before, Richard Eddings, and we had a fun time growing up. Richie and I and Donna. We had an older brother that was
I said Rich in the house.
Rich in the house, yeah.
It was Royce and Rich in the house in those days, right?
No, it was Royce and Rich in the house. Yeah, we had some wild times. Yeah. I don't know how many times we got beat with the leather belt after 10 warnings that we ignored. After 10 warnings we ignored, But it may be a second time for the same reason.
I don't know why we never thought
it only hurt until we looked at each other's crying faces and we started busting up laughing.
But those were some serious whippings, though.
Oh my God! The older you got, the less you wanted to cry, and so you just got beat.
I know, but
and don't get me wrong, we loved our dad. Our dad was a great guy. He took us everywhere. I know water skiing and drag racing and drive-in theater. I'll tell you one thing about my dad: as many of your friends as he could fit in the car, he'd pack them in the car and take everybody, and he'd never let anybody pay for anything. All their parents would give them money. Hey, you going to the movies? Here's some money for candy and get in the show and stuff, or money for the drag races. Go out into the pits and stuff and see the cars. Right. My dad would never let any of our friends pay for anything. He always picked up the tab.
Oh, the fishing and camping.
I thought that was pretty unusual, right?
Yeah, a lot of great trips.
A lot of great trips.
I mean, that was fun. I mean, that was real fun in those days.
It was fun. And the whippings were nothing. You know what I mean? We deserved them. We got many warnings before it finally happened. So what was wrong with us? I mean, that's what I want to ask. What was wrong with us? We got warned once, twice, 3 times, and then the belt came out. But he did have that look on his face like he was killing Germans over there in Europe, when he was swinging.
It was just a straight whipping. That's it. You're going to get a whipping. Here's the whipping, There was no hard feelings.
Well, he was he was raised in Texas on a farm, and he said when it was time to get a whipping, his dad would say, "Go break a branch or a twitch or whatever you wanted to call it off the tree." Right. And he goes, "If I don't like the one you bring back, I'll go get one."
Oh, shoot. Right. Serious stuff, but you know what? Never gave it a second thought, really.
Yeah, no, and I didn't either. You saw all the rest of the kids in the neighborhood getting the same thing, so it's kind of normal.
I know, even the doctor's kid next door, Blackhammer, his mom. I seen his mom.
They'd get their butts kicked big time. One of the funny things about growing up in Henderson, Las Vegas area was if you did this today, they'd lock you up in prison. You'd be coming home at we'd be out partying. It'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning or something. You're coming home and you go by the Ranch House Bar, corner of Boulder Highway and Lake Mead Drive, and the lights on the building would be shining through the camper shells of the trucks. Well, Vegas is a 24-hour city, so the wives were out working the graveyard shift in the casinos because that's where it got loose and the tips got better because everybody was drinking and stuff. So they'd be out working the graveyard shift, making money, and their husbands would be at the Ranch House Bar, and all the kids. You would see the lights would shine through the camper shell, and you'd see all these little heads in the back of the camper shell. We're all sitting in the camper shell while Dad sat in there and drank the night away.
Oh my goodness, that was two great days.
And we have some stories like that too. You know, it was just kind of the way it was. You know,
it was all those World War II vets, man. They sit in there and they would
that's
exactly
what it was. That's
wow.
Exactly right. Well, anyway, folks, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Scott, Richie, everybody in the chat, Jeff, Caitlin, Maria, Bob, Jeff. I mean, I really appreciate you all. I hope you enjoyed this. Laurel. Oh, that's Scott. He's on the show too. Rocket to Ruin. I didn't. Hey, Rocket to Ruin. Hi, Rocket to Ruin. I hope you're still there. That is a neat fact, Bobby's saying. I missed that somehow. We were all talking. And Gloria was here, and I really appreciate all of you. I really do. You guys really are the show. We kind of muddle through it and try to have a little fun. But Brian Ammeter was here, and Jeff, I always appreciate you. You're always here. And Adam D came in for a bit, and I appreciate everybody. I hope I didn't miss too many people, but it's we've been talking as we've gone through and stuff like that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really do, and I really appreciate you guys coming on and helping me. It's been a little bit of a new experience since my co-hosts are all working on their own project now, and I still talk to all of them. I talked to all of them this week. I don't think I talked to Jason, but I talked to Pat. In fact, I bought albums from Pat this week. That's how I filled in on the Led Zeppelin I was missing. Pat has The Wizard's Lair, and he sells albums online. And then our other friend that was a co-host that we missed the last couple of months, Michael Mcveigh, he's had a really bad case of COVID, and he's a rock vocalist, and his band opened for a lot of pretty big acts. I went online and watched him singing, you know, and saw the list of bands that they'd opened for, you know. And so he actually yesterday, I think, for the first time since he got sick, he was rehearsing with his band. You know, they're going to try to make another run at it, and that's great. I wish him all the luck in the world. And Michael Altini, he's a funny guy. He's fun to have on. Him and Mcveigh get going, you know, cutting each other up and stuff like that. It really gets funny. And Jason, I mean, he knows a lot. Jason's a lot of those guys are a lot like you, Scott. They're just a warehouse of knowledge, you know. And so I appreciate when you guys come on and help out. Richie knows a lot about all this stuff. Seen a lot of these bands in concert. We went to a lot of concerts at the Las Vegas Convention Center, and that great concerts. I mean, we've seen so many people. I saw not Led Zeppelin, but I saw Black Sabbath there, of all people. Wow. You know,
I had a ticket for Black Sabbath, and what happened?
Chicago and.
Somehow I didn't get in for some reason. That was weird. I don't know. I can't remember what happened, but
It didn't do me much good to get in, but I was there. But the funniest story, and I was saving it for a Chicago unboxing, but I'll tell it right now before we go. I went to the Chicago concert, and we had the worst seats. It's like it was the nosebleed seats. My back was up against the concrete wall as far away as you could get. And we'd been, you know, partaking in a few things before we got there. And I looked at my friends, and I said, I'm going to go get a better seat. And I can remember kind of staggering and stumbling and grabbing people as I tried to go down the aisles. And the next thing I knew, I woke up, all the lights were on. I'm like, where the hell am I? I was on 5 chairs in the front row, laying on 5 chairs in the front row. And I was staring at the lights in the ceiling, and I started to look around, and people that were pushing big trash cans around there. So I passed out, missed the whole show, and somehow wound up in the front row on 5 seats at the Chicago.
What a heck of a good time, huh?
Heck of a time.
Anyway, folks. Concert. I passed out at a Kinks concert. You know the Kinks?
Did you?
Me and Frankie and his friend, we all passed out. We woke up and it was over, you know. All I remember is a bunch of guys jumping around on stage for a few minutes, and I was out for the whole show. Crazy. That was craziness.
Okay. We're gonna sign off now, guys. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate all you guys coming and joining us, and thanks for all the help. I appreciate that. And good night, everybody.
I'll be good.
Have a good one.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.